Hey, what's up? This is going to be a serious video, so occasionally you'll forgive me if I'm referencing the notes because it is an extremely serious topic. Let's start with the notes, guys, because this is all precipitated, as some of you know, because Swag Academy a couple days ago doxed me. He revealed my name, my former address. He accused me of being basically the reincarnation of Bill Cosby and R. Kelly.
Last time I checked, R. Kelly made beautiful music. Nobody listens to him anymore because of what? Bill Cosby, great actor. Nobody watches him anymore because of what? When they think of him, they think of what? When you think of Coffeezilla, you got to think of this now.
All based on false information from anonymous gurus who were looking to silence me, and he laundered, basically blackmailed through his channel to thousands of people. This video is in two parts. The first is going to be about Swag Academy's video on me, but the second one is going to be talking about the harassment and blackmail campaign I've been dealing with and my attempts to unearth the guys behind it, because ironically they are guys. Guys saying, me too, I've been destroyed by Coffeezilla, me too. We're gonna talk about that anyway. I shouldn't make jokes because it is serious, but again, just been dealing with this for a long time, and I guess it's finally time to talk about it. So these are two separate things. I'll address them in one video. Let's talk about the Swag Academy video first, the end of Coffeezilla, as he said.
But this guy got to be addressed. At one point, you got to get your ass kicked. At one point in time. He's clearly some type of monster. Abuse and cocaine and blackmail and scam and talk. That's not an opinion. I'm not just talking. You abused them and you're just this monster. Whereas this Coffeezilla guy is this sarcastic and he's this loving guy when it comes to his fan base. And all he wants to do is help the people stay away from, scammers and stuff. It seems like you're the real scammer. You're a fraud. You got companies saying he scammed them. You got ex-girlfriends saying he abused them. All of your subscribers who just blindly follow you, for that matter. What should they do? Unsubscribe from you? You should delete your channel? All of that, because by the looks of all of these articles, you are some crazy monster portraying yourself to be somebody else.
Right after the video came up, I immediately told him, look, these things are completely false. I can prove that they are false. I did prove it. And he, to his enormous credit, took it down 2 hours and has apologized profusely, saying he was in the wrong. And he made an apology. He goes, all in all, I apologize for blasting wrong information. I sincerely mean that. I was 1,000,000% wrong on him, talking about me, being who he is, which deserves an enormous apology. I appreciate that. So that said, we still need to address a few things in this video before we move on to the people who are actually doing this. The first thing is, why did Swag Academy go off on me? I want to talk about this. He says I made 4 accusations which caused him to need to respond.
Some of his accusations were, I have a fake live account. I'm a fake Forex guru, the comparison with baby pips, and that I'm some type of scammer.
Here's the crazy thing. Of all the things he says I accused him of, only one of those is true. The only thing I did in that video, and you can verify this anytime you want, is I did compare his course to baby pips. But I never said in my course review of him that he was a Forex scammer. I never said he was a fake guru. And I never said he was trading fake Forex accounts. And the closest thing I came to accusing him of what he's saying I accused him of was at the end of the video. Here it is. If you've taken his course, what did you think? Is he faking his MetaTrader 4 account, 5 account? I don't know. It's impossible to say. But what I can say is I haven't seen enough evidence to know he's legit. I want to be clear. That's not calling him a scammer. It's not calling him a fake Forex guru. It's not even saying he's a fake trader. I'm just saying what I'm saying. I haven't seen enough evidence. I'm withholding judgment because these things are easy to fake. Yeah, I haven't seen enough evidence to know he's legit. These things are so easy to fake. And by the way, anyone who's legit shouldn't be intimidated by that. You should be happy to show more proof, right? Oh, boom, I got you. But the video starts with him trying to deplatform me, saying I should never be basically allowed back online, and accusing me of being like R. Kelly and Bill Cosby if you support me.
Just know that once this video is done, if you're still subscribed to him, if you're still following him, if you are still in support of him, you are the problem too, because you're giving him a platform he doesn't deserve.
Now listen, I try to be careful with what I say. So if you're gonna say this,
I can take criticism. I can't take blasphemous hate.
You better be right, because where's the blasphemous hate in my video? Was it this? Besides the name, besides the goofy stuff, he's likable and he breaks it down at a fundamental level. Ironically, in his anger, he's the one who ended up spewing blasphemous hate about me. Nothing I said was even in that same solar system. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and rate this a 2 stars for me. A little bit better than Tai Lopez's course. Swaggy C's more likable. The course was broken down, I thought, a little bit better. But overall, dude, just go to Baby Pips. Free.
I can take criticism.
No, I don't think you can take criticism. When I criticized you, you doxed me and dug up every possible thing, didn't bother to validate if any of it was true, and said basically I was the spawn of R. Kelly without first asking me if, right, when you're about to accuse me of a crime, if any of it was true. All the while, you're saying I accused you of things that I never accused you of. Now, there's nowhere to go positively with this, so we're just going to have to end it there. And for me, right now, this is over. At the end of the day, this is not drama. These are like serious things that are seriously wrong, false. He took it back. He apologized to me and my wife. He removed the video. And that's all you can do in a horrible situation like this. But now we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the much worse problem. Swag Academy. It was a big swing and a miss with the exposed Coffeezilla because his information was completely wrong. But it was all a part of a larger harassment and blackmail thing that I've been receiving for one or multiple gurus, I don't know that yet, who I've exposed in the past. They're very angry now. And I know you guys are going to want me to speculate on who did this as we go through this information, as we unveil things. But it would be wildly irresponsible for me to speculate on that because I truly do not know yet. I am still investigating as of the time of Swag Academy's video. The plan initially was to find out who did this, make a whole documentary on this complete insanity. But unfortunately, my hand was kind of tipped here. So I didn't find out who did it before I'm sort of forced to make this video addressing all these things. And yeah, so I'm not going to accuse anybody yet, but we know sort of the group who did this maybe. We don't know exactly who it was, though. So buckle up, guys. Get your popcorn. Let my pain be your entertainment, I guess. So the first post in this time frame of harassment is a little fuzzy. I remember it being really early in 2020. I don't remember exactly when, but it was a little bit after the Stephen James video. I remember a couple weeks, maybe a month after that, I start seeing these websites pop up that I've never seen before with my name in them. And they're written by these anonymous posters, but they have my full name in them. I'm like, I don't know who these people are, right? But they're accusing me of stuff. And it's all these posts are all written by I'm going to say women. They're written by men, but the names are, it's Jessica S, Rachel R, right? Karen K, or whatever. Insert name, random name generator, female here. And these people are accusing me things from small things to gigantic, crazy, world-shattering things. All on different anonymous sites where it's impossible to know who posted these things. And it ranges all the way from bad website design that I scammed someone as a web developer, all the way to cocaine abuse, to violence against women, okay? To literal, I kid you not. But at this point, I know several things, okay? Well, obviously, these are not true. First of all, let's just take the first one. I'm not even a web developer. I studied chemical engineering in college. Then I started my YouTube channel. There's this post where it's this guy built the worst website for our company. I've never had a job as a web developer. So the cocaine story is even funnier, okay? Because they say basically I was hooked on cocaine, which is really funny if you know anything about me, because I didn't even drink till I was 21. I was that guy. I'm so milquetoast that if I was accused of anything in high school or even college, it was yeah, that guy's kind of he doesn't really go out too much. He doesn't really party. But the fact that they're trying to paint me as Pablo Escobar the Fourth is hilarious to me. I shouldn't laugh because it's crazy, but you do have to appreciate the irony here. The final thing, which is the most serious, but also the dumbest, which is a lot of fake accusations of women. One look at my dating history disproves that, okay? I've talked about it multiple times on The Drip, on Coffeezilla, but I've been in the same relationship for 10 years, okay? I married my high school sweetheart. Here, look. This is back during the high school days. Yeah, I was one of those guys, right? Look at me, young Coffeezilla, boys. And there's my wife. And I didn't have a costume and she did. And here she is now, guys. Look, she's real. This is something that Spencer Cornelia and Amish will tease me about is you haven't played the game like us, played the field. And they're right. So I don't know. It's so funny because these fake gurus are apparently typing in their closet about me, and they're I don't know, what are they imagining? Like I'm the cross between a James Bond ladies man, a web developer who's apparently very bad at his job, Pablo Escobar, and then somehow Bill Cosby, all combined. Like, sorry, I'm not that exciting. So even though I don't know, I find it funny, immediately I decided to start contacting these websites and try to figure out how I can get them taken down because they're lies. And this is where I learned a hard truth. There are these websites which use freedom of speech as an excuse to let people anonymously like post crazy stuff about anyone. And if you want to challenge them and have them take it down, you have to pay thousands of dollars in arbitration, which is fancy language for blackmail. Yeah, we have this crazy thing written about you by someone who hates you. Pay us money to take it down. Thousands of dollars. And so, look, guys, I'm not rich. I mean, and frankly, my reputation's not worth thousands of dollars. So I just don't have money to pay for this expensive stuff. And honestly, here's the other problem. If you do take it down, they're just going to post again about you. And then they know it's like affecting you anyway. So I'm like, you know what? I guess let's try to find out who's doing it so that we can expose who's doing this. But like, there's nothing I can do sort of objectively about the fact that people can just post crazy things on these crazy websites. Cranberry break. But I want to make it clear. Okay. I want to make it clear how easy it is to do this stuff. So I could write a review right now I could take all the stuff that Swag Academy found about me. And I think he found like most of the posts that are up there. And I could take those accusations. I could copy and paste them. I could put them in the exact same websites under an anonymous name, you know, like Samantha W or something like that. And I could just replace my name with Mother Teresa or, you know, Queen of England. And those people, just like me, would have nothing to do, no option, no way to take it down besides pay thousands of dollars. And then even if they do that, you could just put up another one and another one and another one. Now, I would never, ever do that. I think it's the most reprehensible thing you can do. But that's the reality of the internet. These websites let people post anything, and then they extort you for money. And I didn't want to address it in the community because they doxed all this personal stuff about me. So to address it is to dox myself. And so I wasn't about to do that. And I guess that has been kind of forced because Swag Academy did it. But, you know, it just is what it is. So at this point, you know, I'm realizing that I need documentation for when eventually people come to me. I need to prove to them, like, of course this is false. Like I could show them basic stuff. You know, I could show you, you know, my wife, we've been together forever. That's obviously not true. But the thing is that I wanted more concrete evidence because you literally cannot have enough concrete evidence to fight off baseless things like this. So the first thing I learned while starting to document this stuff is that I'm not the only one who has gone through this. This is like a regular thing with people who have a platform, who, you know, have an audience, especially if they talk about serious issues. Recently, a video came out called Down the Rabbit Hole, where Nexpo, who's a YouTuber, tells the story of multiple YouTubers with very big platforms being the target of a harassment campaign. Take a listen.
The reputation damage that someone can cause with these claims are enough to give anyone crippling anxiety, especially when people are unaware of the context of what's actually happening. It isn't just me either. Mama Max, Mudahar, Loey Lane, and Night Docs have all fallen victim to this online plague.
Anyone online who dislikes you, they can post things online without proof, completely anonymously. So I became obsessed with trying to find the person harassing me like this. And right about now is when I got this email. You have ruined the lives of your close ones. Now, this email address is 5ymail.com, which bills itself as a anonymous email provider. So we can't trace it. It's timestamped March 8th, 2020. So like I said, soon after sort of this stuff started happening. And in it, it has the names of friends, of people who's like sort of like distantly related to me and family. And even people who came on my channel who I'm not even close to, like Todd Baldwin, Roger Wakefield. Like I had him on one time on the show. This guy says, all going to be trashed on internet for life. You literally ruin their lives with your adventures. In a few days, entire internet will be filled with your stories, thousands of articles. You can't remove this in your lifetime. At this point, you know, I'm kind of thinking like, did somebody pay somebody abroad to just like write a ton of bad articles about me. Like this sounds like the ultimate fake guru move. Like not only do you like defame somebody and hide behind an anonymous email, you outsource it. Like, don't have time to ruin someone else's life with baseless allegations? Pay someone to do it for you. It's ridiculous. Now I'm going to go out on a limb and call this what it is. Like, this is evil stuff. You know, you can make a video about me. You can disagree with me. That's fine. But try to threaten innocent people just because they're connected with me, just because I talked about your goofy course. Like, it's insane. And it goes to the pathology of the people I talk about. I tell you guys all the time, like, these alphas, right? These guys who are so successful, they sure have sensitive egos. It's very interesting. Now, after this email, I knew obviously who I'm dealing with is clearly unstable. So I emailed around to these forums now with this email, and I wanted to show them proof that like I'm being harassed. And I asked them like, can you take it down? Please, this is not a normal case. One of these platforms reaches back out. And they say, oh, no, we can't take it down. This is somewhere around late April at this point. And I'm going to have to blur a lot of this for reasons I'll explain in a second. But he says, yeah, I'm not going to be able to take this down, but I can see a couple of familiar names, friends who are listed on your channel. Would you be willing to consider a swap removal? Meaning I delete one of my videos and he deletes false criminal allegations. Okay? Don't ask me how it's going to help me. I won't make a penny out of it, but it could secure some vital promotion from an agency concerned. Now, to be clear, this is pure blackmail. I respond. Which videos would constitute the swap removal you're referring to? He says, I don't know the links, but it's Dan Locke. 2 videos dated back to 2019. I immediately know which videos he's talking about. They're victims who came forward to me and they talked about their experience in HTC. So I even have a double like sense of responsibility to keep those videos out, because not only are they my videos, but they're actually someone else's testimony, and then this person wants me to take them down, all so that I can basically get something that's not true taken down about me. It's just crazy. So now you guys know, by the way, because this is the same time that the Trim Black stuff was happening, why I was so eager to help him when he was getting doxxed and blackmailed, because he got doxxed and blackmailed on April 29th. All this was happening on April 27th. Like, same time frame. It's so messed up. It's so horrible. Like, you guys think that this is easy to do. It's not. There's a reason not many people are doing this, because you get into it and you realize, holy, like, you have to deal with the worst kind of people. The absolute worst kind of people on earth. Now, this email continues, right? I could perhaps use this to help my network, as well as provide you a removal as an exception, and perhaps give you the information of the users behind the posts and comments. Now, needless to say, I would appreciate you and me keep this confidential, even if we end up not going through this at all. Now, I'll just cut to the chase. I didn't do it, which is why I don't have the information of the people he's talking about. However, the reason that I blurred all this out and the reason that I'm keeping his name confidential is because at the end of the day, he did do the right thing. Even though I didn't remove my Dan Locke testimonials, he did end up going back and removing these things. I mean, he saw it just as plain as day. I emailed him probably like 50 times after that. He saw it plain as day that this is all fake. He saw like these crazy, things coming through. He probably saw that it was the same email putting each one in. So he removed it. He literally, this guy who runs one of these websites, which job is, how they make money is by basically bribing you to take false stuff down about yourself. This is the guy who says, you know what, this is too crazy even for me. These are completely false. And I really appreciate him for that. And that's why I'm blurring it out, because, he's the only person in this situation who really did a good thing here. And so I want to pay him that respect. Now, the final piece of information that's the wildest. At one point in 2020, I tried to catfish these guys. And prove that it's gurus by leaving an email address on one of these websites, like where I was basically like, oh, I got crazy info, and I recorded myself doing this.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the weirdest thing ever, where we catfish ourselves. We're trying to catch a predator. This is weird. So this guy doxed me on I don't know if it's a guy. Somebody doxed me on the internet and put all these like insane accusations out there, but they're all on an anonymous site. So it's impossible to know who they are, right?
Right.
And so they're like blatantly untrue, but we're like, how do we discover who's doing this? Because we don't have their email address. So you came up with the idea that basically we should accuse kind of ourselves of something that sounds juicy, and then leave the email there so that whoever this is, who probably wants real evidence against us, because obviously it's just made up, would contact us and we could unearth who's actually behind this. So here's our little thing here. Crazy story. We'll see if anyone bites on the catfish. All right.
Man, I look terrible without a beard, huh? Now, a long time went by from that. I was like, I don't know if that was in March or April. I'm not so sure on the timeline here. But we get a bite. Callie Duvet 555 at gmail.com emails me. Now, does that sound familiar to you? It should. Because let's go back to the swag video, right? He says that one of the women is named Callie.
There's another girl who commented a few months later in July saying, "Hey Jessica, Stephen is not a good dude. Let's just say that. Totally get where you are coming from. Don't want to say a lot more here publicly. Let's compare notes. Let's compare notes." Like, if girls can say we're going to compare notes, that means it must have happened to her too.
Now, what's the email address there? CallieEdwards555 at gmail.com. I wonder if there's any relation. It's just a guy trying to make a bunch of different sock puppet email accounts, so it doesn't seem like it's the same, but they forgot to substantially change the name. Callie Duvet, Callie Edwards, 5555, the same. So what does this girl say, right? Who's this girl who says, I'm not a good dude? Let's just say that. What do they say? The first thing they say, right, when they go to my catfish email, thinking they're going to get something juicy. Hey, I represent one of the people Stephen has attacked via his YouTube channel. I don't even know what to say. At every corner, it's angry gurus who can't prove they're legitimate, who can't defend their insane prices, who can't explain why victims are coming out left and right, and they have to resort to these insane tactics, right? Now, I sent this guy an IP tracker, and this is where it led me. According to most of the IP geolocators I found, it's Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, I can't speculate beyond that who's behind this, but what I can tell you is beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is 100% a smear campaign designed to shut me up and created by a lot of the gurus that I talk about. And basically they think if they can make enough false things about me up, then I'll stop saying true things about them. But it's not going to work. And it's very sad that, these people feel like they need to resort to this rather than just coming on my show and just talking about it. Now, honestly, the only part about this that upsets me really, this late in the game, of course, initially I was upset. Who wouldn't be, right? But there comes to this point where you realize, oh, this is how the public eye works. Like, there's nothing I can do. This happens to other YouTubers. It's not just Nexpo and a bunch of other YouTubers. I've got a buddy, Matt Tabor. It's happened to so many people at this point. It's not even funny. The internet can be a very, dark place. But the thing that really upsets me here is not really that. It's that this stuff delegitimizes real victims coming forward with real stories. Because you have to account for the kind of psychopaths who are going to use the pain of real victims with real crimes committed against them to try to win some imaginary beef. It's very sad, and I feel very bad for the people who are so twisted with what they're doing in their business that this is the kind of black hat stuff that they stoop to. Again, I'm not calling out names. I'm just saying we know the general cast of characters. I do not know who did it. I just know the group generally, one of these guys did this. Anyways, that's basically my story. I hope it's not really that fun, but I hope you now have a better idea of what's going on. Not only with what's going on behind the scenes in my life. I don't like to talk about it because I feel like you guys probably don't care too much, but I hope it gives you a better perspective. Please don't go harass anybody. That's not my intention here. My intention is to simply explain to you what's been going on, that we're up against some crazy stuff, crazy people. And, that really means the world to me that you guys support me. So thank you very much. Appreciate ya. I'll see you in the next one. I predicted the collapse of this billion-dollar company that went bankrupt today, and I'm going to show you how. I shot an entire video about it, predicting it yesterday, and it was supposed to come out yesterday, but I decided, hey, these are big allegations. I should give them a chance to respond for comments, which was a huge mistake. Basically, I emailed them. I said, hey, I think you're lying. I think you're insolvent. I have a lot of reasons for thinking so, and I'm going to do a story about it in 24 hours. And a few hours later, Genesis did respond all right, but not to me. They responded to their clients. They had a call with them at 7 a.m. basically saying, hey, oops, we've been lying for the entire week. We don't have the money after all. Now, honestly, from my perspective, it's been difficult to not see this as like them front running the story. Although, being objective about this, it's probably pure coincidence because I wasn't the only one talking about this, and this is a billion-dollar company. It's hard to believe they'd spend their time watching Coffeezilla, but I'm just gonna say I am biased on this one because I sent them an email and then right after that, they admit they don't have the money. So that's just my bias. I wanted to let you guys know that ahead of time. Either way, I guess I'm just upset that this video didn't come out before their collapse like it was supposed to, because that was supposed to be the point of all this. I will say though, if you're following me on Twitter, I did warn you guys ahead of time 5 days ago to take your money out of Gemini Earn. Today, Gemini Earn did pause withdrawals because of this Genesis story we're about to talk about. So I know I was able to warn some people. I just wish I was able to warn more people. And today, I just want to show you the video of me predicting the collapse of Genesis. Obviously, at this point, it is too late, but I think it's a super interesting time capsule because while in hindsight, it's obvious, beforehand, there were serious red flags. So I have not added anything to yesterday's video because I wanted to leave it exactly as is. And here's that story. Here's me predicting it. It was supposed to be called The Fallout of FTX. All right, the fallout of FTX has been horrific. They owe between $10 to $50 billion according to bankruptcy filings and could owe up to 1 million people money that they do not have. Meanwhile, their CEO is busy on Twitter trolling people, saying, what? Believe it or not, these cryptic tweets are some of our only communications from the world's most formerly generous billionaire. Well, that and a New York Times interview where he told them, quote, you would have thought I'd be getting no sleep right now. And instead, I'm getting some. It could be worse. Oh man, where would we be without the hard-hitting questions of the New York Times? Millions are suffering, but at least Sam is sleeping soundly. But it's not even just Sam's direct victims that I want to talk about today. Nearly everything besides Sam's sleep schedule have been affected. Crypto as a whole faces existential risk as people lose trust in magic internet money, but there's also an indirect risk of all these companies that loaned SBF money. Now, some of the lenders could be going bankrupt as well, and this is what we call contagion. It's like when you have a nuclear blast, you have the immediate direct hit, the explosion itself, but then there's also radiation. It's slower, sometimes invisible at first, but it hurts more people. And we've already seen signs of contagion coming from companies like BlockFi. Earlier this week, they paused withdrawals, citing significant exposure to FTX. There's also other companies like Salt Lending who also paused withdrawals for the same problems. And this is what contagion looks like when other companies face troubles because of one company going under. And I think it's important to report on companies that fall apart and explain like what happened. But unfortunately, it's already too late to save anyone on BlockFi or Salt because by the time a company has paused withdrawals, it's too late. All you can do is pray they come back. So today, I want to talk about a company that it's not too late for. A company that hasn't gone bust yet. And I want to warn people ahead of time. But I want to emphasize that this is a theory and their financial health could be better or worse than I know. I'm just sharing my opinion based on the facts that are available. So let's talk about Genesis. Now, many of you might not recognize the name, but they're huge lenders in crypto who at one point had $4.5 billion in assets just on their public wallets. And unlike BlockFi, they didn't explicitly target retail traders like everyday people like you and me. Instead, they worked with other institutions. So if you're thinking, well, okay, that just means I'm not affected, right? Well, don't be so sure. Even if you've never heard of these guys specifically, you could have had money with them. For example, let's say you had your money in the Gemini Earn program, which advertises 8% on your crypto if you leave it in the hands of the social network rowing team. Now, you might think this is a great deal. You see the Winkle twins and decide, finally, someone you can trust, right? Or at least someone you can backstab. But the problem you might not see is that you're not just trusting Gemini. you're also trusting the people they lend your money to for that return. So, who is that? Well, it's in their terms of service. There's only one approved borrower of the Gemini Earn Money, Genesis Global Capital. Now, Genesis Global Capital is a subsidiary of Digital Currency Group and an affiliate of Genesis Trading, which we'll come to in a moment. But what does Genesis Global Capital do with your money alongside Genesis Trading? Well, they lend it out again. And here's where we get to a problem. Sometimes the people they lend it out to, it doesn't work so well. Remember our video on Three Arrows Capital, the huge hedge fund that blew up 10 years ago? Blew up a few months ago? Well, Three Arrows Capital took out billions in loans from none other than Genesis, who actually was their largest lender, with a $1.2 billion claim. Now, their loan was partly collateralized, meaning they didn't lose the entire $1.2 billion. That collateral was made up of a lot of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, Grayscale Ethereum Trust, and some other tokens, which Genesis basically all kept. But despite liquidating them, they faced hundreds of millions of dollars of losses, according to CoinDesk. Now, around that time, Michael Morrow, the CEO, announced that they had thoughtfully mitigated our losses with a large counterparty. No client funds are impacted. Translation: we just got screwed, but we're trying to pretend nothing happened. I think it's interesting to note, actually, that Michael Morrow is now the ex-CEO of Genesis and is now on vacation, according to his Twitter, which I gotta admit, now on vacation is what I would say if I were thoughtfully mitigating the loss of my job. But it doesn't stop there, because the parent company of Genesis is called Digital Currency Group, and they actually assumed this $1.2 billion claim, supposedly leaving Genesis with no outstanding liabilities. But not having that $1.2 billion claim doesn't mean suddenly they get their money back. It just means they don't have a $1.2 billion claim on their balance sheet anymore. It's now on daddy's balance sheet. Okay, why does this matter? Well, it's important to the financial health of Genesis, because even the money they did get back from Three Arrows Capital, the collateral, may not have been immediately sellable. For example, the Grayscale Bitcoin they liquidated as collateral, those assets are actually part of another subsidiary of their parent company, Digital Currency Group, called Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And I know if it sounds confusing, I'm trying to make some graphics for this to make it a little more clear. Either way, this is important because there are reasons why if you're Genesis or DCG, Digital Currency Group, you wouldn't want to sell a bunch of a sister company shares for cash, because it would hurt your other business, especially at a time when Grayscale Bitcoin is already on life support, trading at a 40% discount. Incidentally, doing this trade is sort of what got Three Arrows Capital liquidated in the first place, but that's another story. So it would deepen your losses if you sell. So what do you do? Well, it looks like Genesis or DCG decided to hold on to these Grayscale Bitcoin Trust shares, I guess in the hopes that they would go up in the future, and they may have even bought more of them. Because based on Grayscale's 10Q SEC filing, it shows that their parent company, Digital Currency Group, have been spending millions of dollars buying up shares in Grayscale. Quote, from March 10th, 2021 through September 30th, 2022, DCG has purchased a total of $771.8 million worth of shares in the trust. All right, what does all of this mean? Well, it means that Genesis, a giant lender of crypto, got a $1 billion hole they tried to push on to daddy when Three Arrows Capital went under. In return, they got a few tokens and shares in a sister company they can't really sell, and it looks like they probably didn't sell because it's going to make their other business do worse. Not only that, their parent company also seems to have been dumping even more money into these Grayscale shares, $771 million worth. And these funds aren't exactly liquid because, as I said, they're trading very low. So the last thing they're going to want to do is sell these at a deep loss. And now, finally, we're going to get to the FTX Alameda part of this story, because coming into fall season, Genesis and DCG aren't looking great. So this is where we could be seeing the final straw to break this whole thing. Although, again, this is just my theory, right? Because everyone's panicking right now, bank runs are happening everywhere, and it might be that Genesis just doesn't have the money. Okay, so here's the evidence. On November 8th, Genesis says of the FTX collapse that they managed our lending book and don't have any material net credit exposure. Now, to me, this sounds a bit like thoughtfully mitigating our losses, but whatever. Pretty soon, a day later, their story kind of changes. They say, quote, we hedged and sold collateral, resulting in a total loss of about $7 million across all counterparties, including Alameda. But once again, they insist everything's fine, right? They say our exposure to FTX has no impact on our ability to serve our clients. Now, the next day, you might not be surprised, their story changes yet again. They say, oops, did we say we lost $7 million? We meant that our derivatives business has $175 million in locked funds in our FTX trading account. Oops, I guess they missed that one, guys. You know, sometimes I leave a quarter in the couch. Sometimes Genesis accidentally finds $175 million stuck in a bankrupt company. It happens, guys. It happens. Still, though, they claim once again that, quote, our operating capital and our net positions are not material to our business. Okay. Now, that might be believable if the next day, once again, something didn't change, because DCG announced that they were infusing Genesis with $140 million. And naturally, the question is if your business is totally unaffected by $175 million going missing, why do you need to infuse that company with capital? And if you're trying to make sure everyone thinks you're fine, why not completely replace the loss? Because as some of you might have noticed, you math whiz kids out there, $175 million is bigger than $140 million infusions. So my theory, well, I think it's because dear old dad, the digital currency group, might not be so liquid right now. And I think Genesis is even more in the hole. Now, once again, this is speculation, but it's based around facts around Genesis's already large losses and DCG's nearly $1 billion purchase of their own Grayscale shares that they can't easily sell. I just don't believe that they're doing that well right now. Now, of course, could I be wrong? Could they be completely liquid and have tons of money extra? Yes, absolutely. Would I bet my money or your money on it? No, I wouldn't. Hence the making of this video. I just want you guys to be aware of what's going on. You can make your own decisions with what you want to do. But if you're in the Gemini Earn program, me personally, I wouldn't be so comfortable. Or if you're in a lending platform where you're not sure if it's related or they're lending out to Genesis, just be careful, because you might be at risk of contagion even if you think you're fine. Now, by the way, I want to be clear. This whole thing is being extremely charitable to DCG and Genesis. I feel like I'm doing free charity work here because actually I'm taking them very much at their word, which I don't believe is actually that reliable. This is when I'm saying that their losses are truly as small as they say, despite every evidence seeming to suggest that whenever possible, they minimize their losses. Take, for instance, their statement about FTT. This is, of course, the token of FTX, and it's nearly worthless now. Genesis said that they had no material exposure to FTT or any other tokens issued by centralized exchanges. But we basically know this not to be true, or at minimum is super disingenuous. Because using the platform Arkham Intelligence, I took a look at their books and found that Genesis had a lot of FTT and was actively receiving hundreds of millions of dollars of FTT from Alameda as recently as 1 month ago, presumably in exchange for loans. And as recently as 1 week ago, they were sending huge chunks of FTT, not to FTX or Alameda, but to Binance. Now, why would they do that if they were not selling? Now, what does this mean? Well, Genesis obviously had exposure to FTT from Alameda, maybe in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So when they're saying they didn't, they're either lying or trying to obfuscate the fact that they sold them like last week while the market was crashing with everyone else. But there's also this whole dance in their language around Genesis's relationship with FTX and Alameda. In fact, they say they have no ongoing relationship. But this may be the greatest technical truth since I said I appeared on a Netflix show. Because what does no ongoing lending relationship mean? Would you cut it off 10 seconds ago? Like, what is that? Obviously, you lended to them at some point, and I attempted to reach out to Genesis Global, Genesis Trading, and DCG for comment, and here's what they said about all this. Anyways, that concludes my video about the fallout of FTX and Genesis. Just remember, there's lots of people pretending they're fine right now, even when they're actually very close to bankruptcy. So you need to stay safe out there. Don't just take people at their word when they say they have no exposure to FTX or Alameda. Make sure you verify. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.
People say all the time to me, Stephen, you're exaggerating. These people are not as predatory as you're saying. You're saying they're always preying on desperate hopes and dreams. What are you talking about? Well, may I submit for your consideration, Daddy Dan's Daycare.
Hello, HTC brothers and sisters. My name is and I joined HTC Season 13 because I wanted to make more money for my family so that I could support them.
I, of course, blurred his face for privacy reasons, and because this story is not about him. It's about Dan Lok, who is selling courses to children who think they're going to make money for their parents.
And I really wanted to learn learned this amazing high-income skill from Seafood Dan Lok. I wanted to make more money for my family so that I could support them.
Now, I haven't checked the price of baseball cards recently. I haven't checked the lemonade stand profit margins, but you ain't going to be rich because you took Dan Lok's course. And the sad thing is this kid believes he is. He believes he's going to make money for his family. We find this thanks to a vision board that this kid created for the HTC course. Look at this. I will visit Japan with my mom in March 2021 with my first HTC income. He will make billions of dollars of revenue with the company, and he will dedicate himself to a underwater subway business in 2025. Now, I do not say this to mock this kid. I'm saying that these are his expectations when he paid for a course that cost thousands of dollars. And not only that, Dan Lok encourages it in the comment section. Yeah, sure, these are reasonable expectations. Start young. Sure. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't we accept you in our $2,500 program? I have to ask you guys, how is this okay? Dan Lok is running all these ads on YouTube. And who's it affecting? Who is getting into his course? Is it people who can afford it? Do you need more money, Dan? I have to know. Does Dan need more money?
Stop being such a loser!
Oh, right. This isn't woke Dan. This is the Dan Lok who needs to fill up those 2 golden money guns. And it's pretty expensive, to be honest. And yes, I did go ahead and verify that the kid did pay for the course, or at least his parents did. He didn't get the old Dan Lok special free course. That might have been okay, but no, according to my inside sources, he did not get that. So him or his parents paid, all under the pretense of his parents really probably can't afford it because he wants to make money for his parents because apparently they don't have a lot of money. It's extremely sad, not because the kid isn't charming, he certainly is, but that we live in a time where people like Dan Lok are making millions of dollars off the backs of people just like this.
Hello, HTC family. Today I want to share with you my class 2 takeaways. But before I share that, may I tell you about a lesson that I learned. You know how from class 1, Sifu told us that the rich did what was hard, that's why their life is easy. Poor people do what is easy, that's why their life is hard. So this happened like a few days ago. It was Friday, and my school had a fall festival. My low self-esteem really wanted me to go there. So he was like, hey, let's go to the fall festival. Let's take a break. But my higher self-esteem was telling my lower self-esteem that, hey, no. Sifu told us that rich people do what was hard. I am not going to let you just pull me back away from my dreams. And on that day, my high self-esteem just beat in my low self-esteem. So every time my low self-esteem just went, let's go to the fall, and then kapow, and a pow, until it just shutted itself down. And the last one that I learned was wealth triggers. And today, I'm going to share with you my wealth trigger.
Another one bites the dust. First it was Luna, then 3 Arrows Capital, Celsius, Voyager, and now there's a new one, Vald, which is a crypto lending platform, has just collapsed. They say they've suspended withdrawals while their investors try to figure out if they can suspend paying rent. And today, we're going to find out what that means for you. As we watch crypto lenders, exchanges, and hedge funds blowing up left and right like a bad Michael Bay movie, you might be asking yourself, who's next? And who can you trust? The first answer to that question, of course, being yours truly, Coffeezilla, bump the stock. Never rugged before, probably never will. But the second answer to that question is really nobody else. I really wouldn't trust anyone with your cryptocurrency. And today I want to explain why. See, if the crypto winter has shown us anything, it's the interconnected nature of crypto, and not in a good way. More like in an Alabama family reunion way, where everyone is a little too related. Now, of course, when crypto is going great, everybody's doing well. But the problem is when crypto's not doing so great. Things like Luna happen. Everything just sort of seems to go down at the same time. And I'm not talking about crypto prices here. I'm not here to cry because Bitcoin's down. I mean, yes, it is. And yes, the only thing Michael Saylor's about to be managing is a McDonald's. But I'm talking about something else entirely. I'm talking about entire industries grinding to a halt because some dudes got access to a little too much leverage. I'm talking about Three Arrows Capital, which we're going to have a full breakdown on soon, Yacht Tour, and everything. But to sum it all up, a lot of crypto projects were exposed when a single degenerate gambler who liked to borrow a lot basically went under and tried to take everyone out with him. It's been like watching one of those domino competitions where they all start falling at the same time, and the only survivor is a guy who looks like he's about to go trick some hobbits. Now, some people have been calling this crypto contagion, and what they mean by that basically is that one company collapses and it infects all the other companies and causes them to collapse too. But the question is, what can we learn from this very nerdy version of The Walking Dead? Well, it's quite simple, actually. It turns out you can't trust other people with your money, especially not billionaires. There's a shock. There's been a saying in crypto that's been around for ages, which is not your keys, not your coins. And while I hate to agree with a crypto bro on basically anything, they're kind of right. It just means if you don't own the wallet where your money is, you don't own your own money. It's like the same sad movie on repeat, where people put their money in these lending platforms or crypto exchanges like Voyager, and suddenly they go bust and people find out they don't actually own the crypto they thought they owned. What they own is an IOU from their crypto exchange, but when that crypto exchange becomes worthless, so does the IOU. And at that point, it's just too late. You're not going to get your money back. Instead, they're going to use your money to pay off an even bigger IOU, F you. So what's the answer if we can't trust our glorious institutions not to gamble our money away? Well, one answer is that you might want to own your own crypto, which I know sounds like a lot of work. And yeah, that sucks. But hey, look at the bright side. If you ever make a stupid investment like buying SafeMoon, you will truly own that stupid investment. You will truly own a piece of what is arguably $1 billion con. Don't you want that for yourself? I guess I'm not really selling this very well, but the point is I'm really not here to sell it at all. And I'm not here to tell you guys what wallet to get, cold, hot, hardware or not. The point of this video is not any of that. There's tons of videos on that already. The point of this video is just to explain why self-custody of your money might be important to you. And that's not to say that I hate centralization or anything. I really do understand the appeal, but you also have to understand that the main advantage of centralized finance has always been, is always, and was always protection. For example, in fiat in America, if your bank goes bust, you're FDIC insured. Your money is safe. And naturally, this is why people love banks and bank robbing movies, because when they get robbed, you're not getting robbed. Your money is still safe. But this does not exist in crypto. It's the wild, wild west. So there's not the same reason to keep your money with someone else. In fact, instead of it being a plus, it's actually a minus, because now not only do you have to worry about you making a stupid investment and losing all your money, now you have to worry about the guy you put your money with making a stupid investment and losing all your money, which obviously is more common than we all thought. And you might be thinking, well, look, the good news is I don't put my money with stupid companies. I only trust safe, established companies like Coinbase. The problem here is that the same rules apply. Just in May, Coinbase admitted that if they go bankrupt, you could lose all the money you store there. And while I have to say that Coinbase claims that they have zero risk of bankruptcy, and I probably even agree with that, they're probably not going to go under tomorrow, I'm not sure they will never go bust. And that's sort of the problem. You might trust a centralized exchange for a day, a month, maybe even a year. But do you really want to trust a guy who looks like Joe Rogan's son grew up in a float tank his whole life forever? The answer is probably no. Now, did that joke land? The answer is also probably no, because it was way too long. Anyways, rant over. I hope that wasn't too much of a soapbox, in part because I don't even know what a soapbox is. I also hope you guys don't panic out there. This isn't about scaring you into thinking that your crypto is suddenly going to vanish. I just wanted to take a realistic look at the fact that most centralized ways of storing crypto is going to be more risky than storing it yourself. Although I have to say, even storing crypto yourself has risks too. So for those of you who are uncomfortable with all of that, there's a third option as well, which I haven't mentioned, which is just sort of not getting into crypto. I mean, I know everyone's made it seem like you have to own crypto in 2022, but honestly, you don't. I think many people have been led to believe that crypto is more regulated and ready for the average investor than it actually is. The truth is, no matter what these terms and conditions of these websites say, there is no safety net yet in cryptocurrency. And it's okay to say you don't want to play that game until someone sets it up. That's fine. That's the whole purpose of regulators, which we talk about all the time on this channel. And also, if you want to roll the dice with a crypto exchange after watching this video or a lender, that's cool too. Just be aware that there's no take backsies. You know, I think a lot of people's logic for storing their crypto there is they think they're going to be the ones to get out before it all goes bust. And maybe that's true, but remember, you can't trust what these people say, which makes it hard to time these things. I want to bring your attention to one of the most recent press releases of Vault. Again, that's the people who recently went under and suspended withdrawals. So imagine you have your money there for a second, right? Just understand that only a couple weeks before they announced they were suspending all withdrawals, they were sending out this email. Hey, we understand that these are trying times for crypto investors, but Vault continues to operate as usual despite volatile market conditions. We do not have any exposure to Celsius or Three Arrows Capital, and we remain liquid despite market conditions. Over the last few days, all withdrawals were processed as usual, and this will continue to be the case in the future. So obviously, that was a big lie. But you wouldn't know it listening to Vault's management, who were saying that they were completely safe, except for the small fact that they were completely lying. And that's sort of the problem. These crypto exchanges or lending platforms are financially incentivized to lie to you about their solvency. Let me repeat that one more time. They are financially incentivized to lie to you about their solvency. You're never going to hear one of them come out and say, hey, we're in danger, which should probably be illegal, by the way, to lie about the state of your finances. But anyways, either way, it just is what it is. And there are several cases of investors being persuaded by this in the case of Vault. They thought they were safe, and now they're broke. And I don't want you guys to be broke. I want you to be smart. Or if you want to be stupid, at least own your stupid mistakes. Now, that was going to be the end of the video, but it turns out there's actually some updates. So I want to speed run those real quick. It turns out Vault, the crypto lender that suspended withdrawals, is in talks of getting acquired by Nexo, which could kind of act as like a bailout. So that's good news for their customers. Bad news for Voyager, though. They suspended withdrawals and now have declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So that's going to be a long ride for the investors. It doesn't change the point of this video. Points are still the same. You can't trust these people, but I did want to make that quick update just for accuracy. Anyways, that's basically it. Pump the stock. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, this is the second video where we're going to talk about, how we got the data that we did, how we analyzed it, and, some other factors that just didn't make it to the main video. But just FYI, this isn't the main video. That's on the regular Coffee Break channel. Go check that out. The first link in the description below. So go watch that first before you watch this. Okay, so how do we collect this data? So as I sort of mentioned in the first video, this data was scraped using a bot using the YouTube Data API. It was done by Mitchell Jolly. It was scraped at the same time every day, 9 a.m. GMT, I believe. Hey, future Stephen here. I'm trying to throw this video together and I realized that I forgot to tell you a few things about this. So the first thing is how this is structured. It's a unique video in that I'm trying to structure it sort of like with a table of contents in mind, because I know a lot of you don't want to go through this whole thing. So in the pinned comment, I'm going to leave timestamps to the questions that I'm answering at different periods of time in this video. Also, if you think of anything that I didn't cover, please leave comments in the description. I'd be happy to answer some questions. The other thing that I didn't really talk about, really how you can get your hands on this stuff. So I want to cover that for a second here. So if you'll notice that this is what we're now talking about. Okay. How you can get your hands on this data is there are 3 components you need to remake this data set we did. And first, you need Mitchell Jolly's original data set. So if you go to Kaggle, there's the link in the description. His Kaggle profile, you can just download all the CSV or JSON files, and you can get started there. Okay. The second thing you need is my YouTuber classification, which was crowdsourced. It's in a CSV file as well. Go ahead and get that. That has all the unique channels that trended with what their classification is. Some of them were classified as NA, just so you know, because we couldn't find the channel or something like that. I think that's less than 1% of the data set though. And then the third thing you need is our Jupyter notebook.
which contains all the code to run the analysis in the way that we did. If you're interested in doing your own work, you don't need that. But if you want to redo the work for yourself, that's what you need. Now, an important part of that is you need to assign the path to wherever you're storing your files. So again, there should be a link in the description for how to download all our files there, but you need to make sure there's a part where it says, your path here or something like that. You need to go ahead and put in your file path in order so it accesses that. Other than that, everything else should run as planned. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to get back to talking about all the limitations of this data set, all the things we did, all the things that I think about it that didn't make it to the main channel, but I just needed to get that off my chest. And as far as I know, there's only one hole in the data set as far as like the collection of it. I think Mitchell Jolly told me that he had gone away, and when he came back for like part of this 7 months, 5 days were missing. Okay, so that's like the only hole in the data set. But other than that, this is by far and away the most data-driven look at the trending tab we've ever had, and I don't think those 5 days that we're missing is really too impactful. But there are some limitations to this data set that are worth mentioning, okay? So first and foremost, I think the most subjective part of this whole thing that you probably may want answers to is the data classification, right? So I classified every single channel as being a part of some kind of category, whether that be a YouTuber, traditional media, a movie channel, trailer, music, conventional viral, etc. And these were somewhat subjective categories that I created to try to capture the answer of, how often does traditional media trend and how is it rewarded, etc. But these definitions are somewhat arbitrary, and I can see people disagreeing with some of them, as well as the fact that some channels sort of fall in the cracks of like which do they really belong to. Like Anthony Fantano, for example, I can see some people thinking, oh, he's a music channel, but at the same time he's sort of a YouTuber, and so you have to make certain calls about like, well, is he more into like the music side, but he's also like his main thing's YouTube, so how do you think about that? How do you think about someone who's reviewing music? So we classified him as a YouTuber, by the way. But my point is there's a small margin of error that's just necessarily going to be part of any classification that is somewhat based on subjective definitions. So I posted the Excel CSV with all crowdsourced classifications, all available so anyone can publicly critique them. I don't mind. Anytime you're doing some primary research like this, people are going to disagree, especially when some of it's subjective. So I just wanted to make that publicly available so people could see sort of what's going on. That's going to be linked below. And another thing that I think could have introduced some error is just the 70 people I used to crowdsource this data. It was too much to classify myself, and I didn't have enough people interested in classifying to have a second round of people double checking the first group's work. Ideally, that's what it would have happened. I just didn't have enough interest on the second channel. Maybe after this video, people will be more interested in working on crowdsourced projects like this, but that's a limitation of the data set. Final limitation of the data set is that, look, this is a very limited window of time. This is from November 2017 to June 2018. Is it the best look at the trending tab we've ever had? Yes. But do conclusions that were from a history based on a year ago, are they relevant to today? I would argue that they are, but you can't draw that strong of conclusions. So what I want to say here is that I'm aware that the algorithm changes. I'm aware that it's dynamic. So just bear in mind that the current state of affairs could be very different from what the state of affairs we saw a year ago, whatever. Now let's talk about data visualization and analysis. So one of the first things we had to do with this data set was we realized that a lot of videos trend over multiple days. So they would show up multiple times in our data set because the bot would pick them up, Thursday, and then it'd also pick them up Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So what we decided to do was remove duplicates, and we removed them such that only the first time it appeared on trending was what we captured and collected. That way we could find out how many views did they have when they first appeared on trending. On that note, one of the assumptions we sort of make is that all videos who appear on trending, their views when captured were their views when they started trending. Of course, this is not exactly true. A video could have started trending at 12 a.m. and then only been seen on our data set at 9 a.m. when it was collected. So there's a margin of error there as well. I think it's rather small, but I just be aware that happens. It's plus or minus like 24 hours, I guess, of when our bot picked it up versus when it was trending. Also, because we only collected once a day, there may be some videos that sort of slip through the cracks. Just be aware of that. Like if they got on at 10 a.m., so our bot wouldn't have collected it, and they got off at 11 p.m. that night, we would have never seen that on our data set. So that's a limitation as well. But I don't see many solutions to this other than collecting like every hour on the hour. And I think that's just way too data intensive. Plus, YouTube's data API limits the number of requests you can pull. So I'm not even sure that's a feasible project. I just wanted to state that this is a limitation of our data set. Now let's talk about data visualization. So now that we have our channels classified and we have our unique values, now what we want to know is, let's visualize this in some meaningful way. So what I was interested in is like the channels that are excelling. So I decided to check how many times does a channel trend, like 0, 10, 15, 20, whatever. And then what's their average views when we catch them on trending? So what's their barrier to trending? That's the graph you guys saw in the first video. But one thing I'll note is that some videos were not actually caught on that graph because they were so high up in the y-axis. I think David Dobrik, for example, wasn't on our data set because he was at 17 million views before trending or whatever. And what was happening is our y-axis was so squished because it was trying to account for these for these channels that were in the stratosphere. All of those channels only trend once or twice. But we decided to trim that side of the axis because we realized, okay, it's going to limit your ability to even see visually what else is going on here if we include that. So we trimmed some outlier examples only on the y-axis just to make the data more readable. That's just something I've got to be upfront about. One thing that I don't think I mentioned in the main video, we also sized the bubbles according to how many subscribers they had. That was a cool way of trying to find out, does the number of subscribers you have make it harder for you to trend? Does the number of subscribers you have mean that you need more views before you get on trending? And the answer to that turns out to be no, because we see all those traditional media like ESPN, CNN, Colbert, Fallon, Kimmel, all of them have well into the millions of views, and they're trending with only 500,000 to 1 million views. So clearly this does not seriously impact your ability to trend at low numbers. But now let's talk about some things that might drive trendability, because I know in the video all I talked about was views. And obviously there's a lot more that could drive trendability. Maybe you have your pet hypothesis for why some people trend, some people don't. And I tried to test a few common examples and common thoughts to get an idea, and none of them really worked, but let's run through them anyway. So one thing I thought was interesting is, does comments or likes or dislikes, some variable that's not views, have something to do with whether you trend? And the answer to that seems to be no, because what we find is that views are highly correlated with all those values. So if you get a certain number of views, you're really likely to get some proportion, maybe 10% of those in likes, 0.1% of them in dislikes, etc. So if likes and comments and dislikes were a factor, they would just be linked to views. And we don't see views as being too important of a factor to predict if someone trends. On that note, when I say views don't matter that much for trending, because I don't think they do, let me give you an example, okay? So one channel that I found as an example for this is the Associated Press, who trend with really low numbers. But what I found interesting is not just their numbers, because I thought, well, maybe they just have a fast growth rate and they just get on trending early. Maybe they just get all their views really fast and they jump on trending. Maybe it has nothing. Maybe there's no conspiracy, whatever. So here's the Associated Press, the times they trend. It's 7 times in total. And what's weird is some of these, they trend with literally less than 1,000 views. I don't know if you can see that. They trend with less than 748 videos when they trended with the raw 7 South Carolina deputies, 1 officer shot. They trend with 748 videos. But what's weird about it, and what I find strange, is that it was published on the 16th. So it shows what time it's published. 16th of, what is that, January 2018. But when it actually trended was the 18th. So it was 2 days old. 2 days old when it trends with 700 views. 748 views in 2 days, and it's on trending. That's what I mean. Views don't seem to matter in some instances for trendability, because it's people are trending. They're not trending till they have 17 million views, and some people are trending when they have 700 views over 2 days. So it's really bizarre, honestly. Some of these channels that are trending, it's really bizarre, and doesn't seem to be any silver bullet that makes answers for all the facts. The other kind of myth or thought that I thought I'd test out is whether the median number of views that a channel gets has anything to do with how many views they need to trend. My thought was, I think even PewDiePie echoed this thought, but it was a thought that I have that maybe, like, let's say Coffee Break's average video does 10,000 views. Maybe for Coffee Break to trend, I only need 100,000 views because it's like tenfold. YouTube realizes I'm doing super well for my channel, so then they trend that video. And that would make up for the fact that sometimes creators like PewDiePie, he'll get 10 million views on a video and it won't trend. And it's like, why? And this could explain it, because it would be like, oh, well, he always gets 5 million views. So really, his video is only doing 2 times better than it normally does. So to test this, I had a Twitter user, who I will link right here, use the YouTube data API again to go ahead and pull the last 100 videos from all the creators that we see on trending. And so the idea there would be like, okay, let's check of their average views when trending against how many views do they normally get? What's their median views of about 100 videos? It took like 100 videos for a sample size. And we took the ratio. And my hope was that you'd see consistently, like, a video has to do 10 times better than its normal performance, than a channel's normal performance for it to trend. Unfortunately, there was no relationship here at all. You had ratios of 100, like videos had to do 100 times better. You had ratios of 0.5, where like the video is doing half as well as its normal comparison video, and it's trending. So there doesn't seem to be any relationship there. That was confusing. I thought that would for sure be like a really good insight. The final thing that I thought of was, I know YouTube often parrots the line that, hey, we're not checking out what's trending on YouTube, we're checking out what's trending around the world. So my thought was, maybe we can check Google Trends, which shows you how often a certain keyword gets searched, and we can check that and we can say, okay, if something's getting searched a lot, it's more likely to trend. So for this, I checked out the channel Refinery29, which is sort of an outlier in our project. It trended about 40 times over a very specific window of time, about 3 months. It was very strange trending circumstances. So I thought, okay, let's check out the Google Trends searches for Refinery29. And when you do that, unfortunately, we don't get a great take here, because they trended about between November, when we first saw them start to trend, and then we saw them trend to about March. In that time frame, we don't see them search that often on Google. And so my conclusion, while I only did a very preliminary look at this kind of thing, I didn't see a strong relationship with the channel being like super likely to trend. It trends a whole lot. I didn't see a relationship between that and them being searched a lot more on Google. Now, all of this being said, I know that a lot of you are sort of going to be like, oh, you could have done so much more. There's so much more to explore here. And to that, I totally agree. This was a preliminary research at best, and I look forward to passing the baton on to other people who can do further research into this. I didn't want to dive too deep into the nitty-gritty of what sometimes I think my audience isn't too interested in, but I did want to get a good glimpse of, like, just so I could understand, how does trending work? But I'm not going to pretend that this is the end-all, be-all take on this. Obviously, YouTube's promised to change their algorithm. Obviously, there's a lot more work to do here, especially in other countries. So I kind of pass it off to you. If you'd like to do more research in this, I left my Jupyter Notebooks, which has all the code to how all our graphs were created, as well as the fact that I left Mitchell Jolly's data set in the description below. So you have literally everything you need to recreate all my data, all my graphs, all my data. You have all the data sets for all these countries, and you have the way to basically generate these charts for any country you so choose. So if you're a YouTuber out there, you're looking for something fun to explore, I'd really recommend you take on this topic. I think there's so much that I didn't cover. There's so much more to do here, and I just wanted to get the conversation sort of rolling on this. Also, I almost forgot, go check out Ryan Hunter's website, Fair Trending. Let me show you that right now. Fair Trending is a website which is an objective ranking of the most popular videos. You can, if you go to the Learn More, it explains exactly how it does it. It's a transparent algorithm, which is really cool. I found to be really neat. And yeah, it was made by Ryan Hunter. I talked with him. I asked him some questions about trending, and he's an amazing guy. I know the site is still being worked on, but I'm really excited to see what he does with this. I think this could be a really cool place for YouTubers to go to see what's really going on. The other thing I want to talk about is Algo Transparency. This is a website started by, what's his name? I don't know how to say his name. Guillermo Chaslat. I'm so sorry, man, that I butchered your name. He's an ex-Googler who started this website that's devoted to basically figuring out how the recommended algorithm works, sort of through the method of looking at black boxes that I talked about, which is because we don't know exactly how it works, instead we just look at output and then start making inferences with when we collect enough data. So this is a really cool website. This is just sort of in line with thinking about YouTube algorithms. So check this out. It will show you how many channels are recommending different parts of YouTube. And one of my favorite things is he actually maps out a lot of, oh man, it's so much DPI. He maps out a lot of how YouTube works, like, and who's being recommended to what. And so this is the music part, this is cars, but basically you can see he's tried to.
Okay, let's check out this method to literally copy paste ads to make money. First off, you don't want to run a business where you have to actually like buy products and like ship them out to people, okay? So let's forget about e-commerce or drop shipping or any of that stuff. Doesn't work. Way too expensive. Next, you don't want to have to fulfill the product. You don't want to have to do any work for it. Search for my last name, because the product we're going to be selling is actually my product. Get your kid on this. Get your 5-year-old on this, making you money. And you can do it any age, okay? Even if you're 3 years old.
Welcome back to Fake Guru. Today we have John Crestani. Now, guys, he is one of our most popular fake gurus that we've featured on this channel. Why? Because he's the man with the racks, the stacks, got a comb over so bad he wants his hair back.
I'd like to introduce you to my friend Benjamin and his friend Benjamin and his friend Benjamin.
You guys know him, you love him. But what you may not have realized is that John Crestani has been evolving. He's been evolving his channel. Now, at first you may have thought, wow, that seems like he's appealing to the lowest common denominator when he's flashing stacks of money like we saw on our last video. You'd be wrong. Just having a pile of money on your desk is one thing. But old Crestani has taken the wealth clickbait to another level.
Woo! Gonna show you how to make $100 in a day on WhatsApp. $100 every single day using just sending emails. With Twitter, using Instagram. $100 to $1,000 in just minutes is what you're gonna be learning.
You know, I say it all the time that gurus go after the people who don't know a lot about money. They purposely target people who want to be more successful. They want to be more wealthy, which is why he uses the money gun to just kind of grab your attention. But he also wants to target people who don't know what they're talking about, and they don't have any experience in personal finance or wealth, because those are the easiest people you want to scam. So that is why John Crestani has started targeting children. Yes, you heard me right. John Crestani, he realized that the age group that the gurus haven't really targeted yet enough is young, impressionable kids.
You can do this even if you have no experience. You can do this even if you have no tech skills. Even if you don't even have a computer, or if you're not even 18 years old. Even if you're not 18 years old. So no matter what age you are.
Now, what is John Crestani telling these kids to do? Well, to sell his product, to sell his fake guru system.
Search for my last name, because the product we're gonna be selling is actually my product.
So what he does is he says, hey, he posts a bunch of videos about how to make $100 a day on Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, whatever it is. And then he tells you, sell my product, just sell my product. And he's not even subtle about how little he trusts his little army of toddlers to sell his product, because he's pretty explicit that he wants you to follow him step by step.
Don't change up what I'm showing you here. You try to be too creative, you try to be inventive, it's not going to work. Marketing is like a key. You need to get every single piston right. And when you turn it, the door will open. You get one thing wrong, and the key won't open the door, and it won't unlock your income.
You need to unlock your income with my little. And what is the key, by the way? What is the key? The key. These are his secrets to getting it. It's just to spam your friends.
Now, I get these messages all day long that ask me to sign up for different business opportunity programs via text message. And this is the same sort of message that you want to use for your message that you're going to send out via Twitter.
Listen to this. Here is the link you asked about. It's been a blessing for our family. Give me a break! This blessing is all yours. Enjoy it and use for whatever. Dude, you're getting kids to do this, bro? Ah!
Even if you're 3 years old, get your kid on this. Get your 5-year-old on this, making you money.
People wonder why I make the Fake Guru series, guys. We're out here trying to save people from the NFL. The No Friends Left Club. We're trying to save them. This is how you get the No Friends Left Club. You spam them with John Crestani's ads. But John Crestani's real genius is targeting kids. I gotta admit, I didn't see fake gurus going that far. John Crestani proves that he's willing to go to any length to get that money gun filled up, baby. Any length. So, guys, that's all I wanted to notify you of, is what's going on with the Crestani. How he's really innovated on the fake guru method. First it was, look, we're just gonna promise wealth to people who are over the age of 18, who are adults. Now it's, have we tapped into the baby market enough? Have we tapped into the toddler market enough?
Where are we?
Welcome to Babycore.
Even if you're 3 years old, get your kid on this. Get your 5-year-old.
What up? Welcome to the Trillionaire Club, guys. Big deal here. In the Trillionaire Club, not only are you richer than the richest man in the world, but also you can learn about the system that helped this man obtain his Lambo in 90 days. Yes, that's right. Pretty incredible stuff. But before we get into that, we're going to do something that I want to call ethics tips. This is basically a lot of common sense. The golden rule is don't be a piece of shit. Basically, don't lie to people. Ladies and gentlemen, so many of you are out there just doing the most ridiculous things to try to get clicks. You think that clicks are everything and are worth selling out for or compromising your image, and it's not. Let me show you an example of what I mean today. This is what I like to call the TikTok lie. I really don't want to play too much of this, otherwise we're going to get demonetized here. But it says, I'll mute it. Here we go. When our clients make high ticket sales without a webinar or funnel, and you see this lady freaking out, and oh my gosh, look at them. They're so excited because they're getting high ticket sales without a webinar or funnel. Now, somebody sent me this, and they pointed out, look, you have the coach on the left-hand side smiling, right? You have the family on the right-hand side whose life has been changed. But here's the deal. It's fake. That's right, guys, because as someone pointed out to me, someone else is doing this too. And both of these people are lying about it. This is the same exact video.
Which was Friday. So Friday, Monday,
I'm making you so much money. Come join my team, right? You'll be shouting like this family right here. You'll be so excited. But here's the deal. This is not about anyone taking a guru's course. This is all stolen from a TikTok. It says posting because I love these videos and this is the happiest I've been in a while for getting into my dream school. This is this lady getting into her dream school, and it's now being used as a reaction for marketers pretending like it's their course that got them to act like this. I mean, watch again, guys. What would you think if you saw this, dude? Oh yeah, haha, I'm so happy for them. Except this isn't real. It's a lie. It's a lie. Gotcha. Look, anything, dude. These people will do anything for the sale. It's unbelievable. Don't do this, okay? This is bad. Bad. And then what's funny is I saw this guy, who video we just watched, talking about, oh, how do you think I get so many testimonials?
Have you ever had an issue getting testimonials from your clients? If so, I want you to stay tuned in this video because I'm going to show you exactly how I get so many testimonials.
Oh, don't worry, Tanner Chidster. We know how you get so many testimonials, buddy. You troll over to that TikTok page and you just go ahead and throw it a little reaction, right? Here, let's do one right now.
Yes.
But anyway, guys, that's the ethics tip of the day. Don't take reactions and pretend that they're your customers. This honestly isn't that hard. But this ethics tip has been brought to you by our old friends over at InfoWars. You guys know I'm a media buyer for Alex. Obviously, he wants to support the show. Alex, thanks for your support of the show. I didn't even know you watched. You have a message for these gurus. You're upset about it. What do you have to say to them?
I'm here to ram heads with you. I'm here to take you down. My destruction is the seeds of your sure destruction, fools.
Thank you, Alex. As always, this message has been brought to you by crippling debt from my expensive $10 million studio. Guys, you may have noticed the production value is sick lately. I seem to be in these incredible places that I almost couldn't be physically. And you wonder, how do you put up such a gigantic studio? Well, guys, you should know, I built a gigantic warehouse and all of these sets are physically built. I'm physically in these areas and that's just what it is. And we have to pay for it somehow, guys. Money is a fuel unit. Don't forget.
You must have enough fuel units to live out your new Lamborghini here in the Hollywood Hills.
But anyway, guys, let's get back to it, okay? You want to know, you're here for the Trillionaire Club. You want to know, how do I get a Lambo in 90 days? Well, our boy, the Ray Cartier, is here to tell you. Now, the first thing to know is he's one of these lifestyle gurus. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that he doesn't really talk about how to make money. He more just shows off his lifestyle and then is always saying like, oh, hit me up if you want to know more. Like pictures like this, okay? Mind the business that pays you. Okay, what is that, huh? Leverage the system that pays you. Ooh, we're getting original now. But ultimately, all this money has to come from somewhere. After all, he says that he didn't start with a silver spoon in his mouth. No, he was broke before he learned how to make this money. Here we go. From being 10K in debt to 6-figure income. Want to find out how? Send us a DM. Ooh. Nothing like a money counter to really get us interested. But my point is you really don't know what this guy's into until you kind of dig a little bit more in, you know? All these lifestyle guys are like that. You're like, what do you do besides take pictures? Like, how do you make money? It's confusing. You're saying you're so successful, you're getting a Lambo in 90 days. How?
My name is Ray Milano. I'm a 26-year-old Forex trader, and I've helped thousands of people become successful in Forex trading.
Come on, dude.
Today I check off another dream off my list.
I swear, dude, this is just bait for the 18-year-olds out there who want to get rich quick. They're watching this stuff like, oh my gosh, I don't need to go to college. I don't need to get a job. I'm going to quit my whole career and go join Ray Cartier. Cartier. How do you say it? I don't know. And it's disgusting, but it's also hilarious. Like, you're following this idiot? What is he actually selling you? Right? I still don't know. What is he selling? Education? Okay, what does that mean? How did he learn to trade Forex? Okay, so apparently a lot of this is linked to this thing he does called Skynet Legacy. Now, it says new and improved artificial intelligence trading. So I was like, okay, that's what he does. He's an artificial intelligence trader, which honestly sounds cooler than it actually is. You know, there's a lot of these trading bots that make nothing. But I was interested in what actually this is. So I went to the page. You get some generic thing. So I got the webinar, whatever. I went to the webinar link. Now, this is where I'm doing the due diligence for you guys. So if you actually go and sign up for the webinar, this is what you get to, an unlisted YouTube video where it's selling you not on Skynet Legacy. I thought this guy had created his own artificial intelligence. That's what he makes it sound like in his advertising. Instead, he's pitching something called Avoria Prime. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all of this, but basically he goes, oh yeah, we'll meet the team. You know, it's this amazing team that built this amazing trading bot that you can use to make money no questions asked. This is what this guy is selling you. He's saying, you can be like me, you can be rich if you join Avoria Prime. They sell an Alexander package and an Eris package. They're two trading bots, I guess. They give you alerts. One is $267 now, $189 a month, and the other is $110 a month. So you're thinking, oh, so it's a product? That's how people are making money? Or they're making money by trading? No, also not. That's not how they make their money. This is actually, and it took me forever to realize this, it's just a multi-level marketing company. It's all a front. It's a front. That's right. At the end of the day, after all this talk about wealth, living the lifestyle, it turns out that this is an MLM, and it's not even the first version of this MLM. It started as Silver Star Live. I don't know if you guys can see that. Silver Star Live right here, which apparently ended in a $75,000 fraud settlement. Then they tried rebooting it as EA Economy. That collapsed. Now they're rebooting it again under this guy. Now, does that guy look familiar to you? He should. Because that's this man right here, Sal Leto. He's one of the guys that marketed the OneCoin Ponzi scheme, and now he's trying to revamp this failed trading bot as Avoria Prime. This is all according to Behind MLM, which I find to be a pretty reputable source when it comes to investigating these types of opportunities. Now, what does this all mean? Well, it means Bezos is safe. I mean, I really thought when I saw the Trillionaire Club up here that Bezos has been cracked. I mean, as you know, he's not a trillionaire yet. He's probably watched this guy like, hey, do I have to take this guy out? Do I have to drone strike him? Is he ahead of me in the game? Well, no. This guy's another poser trying to sell you with jealousy, with envy. He's trying to sell you a product and make himself rich. And he's trying to sell you multi-level marketing, guys. What are we in 2012, dude? I thought this Avon, Amway stuff was long dead. Apparently, it's all moved over to stuff like Forex, stuff like that. Don't bother with this stuff, guys. You should know by now. You should know better. We here in the Coffeezilla army, we're advancing the game. So if you ever see one of your friends getting into this stuff, hey, stop them. You got to tell them, look, friends don't let friends get in scams. That's it. By the way, also, let me just say as an aside, if you can avoid, I know a lot of people are super into cars, but the more you can avoid getting trapped by these, and they are a trap, kind of like luxury desires, the less you have to work. I mean, all these people, they always talk about like living a laptop lifestyle. You know the best way to live a laptop lifestyle and to not have to work as much? Lower your expectations. If you want a Lambo, hey, guess what? You're going to be working hard. You're working, busting it all the time just so you can have other dudes can look at you like, nice car, bro. But instead, if you can just be content, with the Honda Civic, but instead, that sounds so lame. But you guys know what I mean. If you don't have to have all that stuff, guess what? You don't need to work as hard because you don't have these like crazy expectations for life. That's why I think these things are doubly stupid. Because on the one hand, it promotes like this, like, oh, dude, hey, bro, just have cash and stacks and then live this luxury lifestyle. And you have kids like idolizing this stuff, which is so stupid. But then at the same time, they don't make the money that they're saying you need to make to get the lifestyle. So they're promoting this super expensive lifestyle and also not delivering. Sorry to get all philosophical with you boys. That's basically it. Thanks for watching. And as always,
don't forget to smash like.
3 guys were arrested today because of a single tweet, which exposed them for insider trading. But before we interview the man responsible for all this chaos, let me just say, this might be the single and only positive use of Twitter ever. Here I thought it was a place for mentally ill people like myself to seek attention and validation, but apparently you can also get people arrested, which is pretty cool because the Department of Justice and FBI link a tweet in their indictment as if it was the thing that got the Scooby-Doo gang together. Now, as happy as I am that the Bluebird solved the case, I have to say it feels a bit strange that the FBI is monitoring Twitter to catch actual criminals, and it sort of begs the question, what's the real future of police work? I'm sure a lot of people join up thinking they're going to be raiding houses, but maybe the future is you're raiding Minecraft houses. Maybe you build your career by busting a metaverse mafia. I mean, I guess on the one hand, it's a good sign that they're paying attention to what's going on out there. On the other hand, it turns out when you look into this, that the insider trading going on was actually pretty well known about. And that's why I brought on the man responsible for all of this, Kobe. He's a podcaster, famous crypto guy, but most importantly, he's the Twitter tweeter who got these guys locked up. And I was hoping he could sort of get me to the bottom of this, help me figure out how he found out about it. But the first thing he told me was actually that he was a bit disappointed in how things were being handled and thought that maybe people were focusing on the wrong issue. How's it going? How are you? Your tweet got someone arrested. I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't feel great about that because the person I was criticizing is not the person that got arrested. The person that got arrested, it seems like collateral damage. I was criticizing the institution that the person that got arrested worked for. And I know the person that got arrested was doing something very silly and criminal and illegal. But yeah, I guess that is what happened. They got arrested.
It seemed like from my conversation with him, Kobe was more upset at the institution Coinbase where this happened than at the front runner themselves. This is despite Coinbase's CEO coming out today saying that they were part of the reason that this guy got arrested, they cooperated with the feds, etc. But Kobe doesn't see it this way. Coinbase, at least for a long time, hasn't been the solution. They've been the problem.
Coinbase has had listings front-running issues for a while. Originally, they only listed like Bitcoin, and they had this policy that they were only going to list like the best of the best. And then as time passed and we got to like the last couple of years and meme stocks became a thing, and obviously they went public, they started losing market share. So they sort of changed their policy and started listing like real garbage. But at the same time, they started having a lot of issues around people buying the garbage they were listing beforehand.
So people were making money on Coinbase front running these trades for years. They would just find out whatever Coinbase was going to list, buy it up before it listed, and sell it immediately after. In fact, it turns out it was such a problem that Coinbase tried to address this issue at the time, but with no success.
Then they published this blog post about how they're going to change all their listing processes so that this stuff cannot happen in the future and they can get better controls around it. And then at the very next listing, every single coin got front run once again. And I'm in a little group of crypto people who look at interesting blockchain stuff, and someone sent this Etherscan link and said, hey, has anyone looked into this? I think these things are going to get listed on Coinbase because they all got bought again by a person who front run successfully last time. Has anyone looked into, does anyone know what any of these are? Some of them seem like really garbage. I think one of them was called The Food or something. I looked at that link, I waited for the coins to get added. About 80% of the ones that were bought on this day were added. So then I tweeted the screenshot of everything he'd purchased and the blog post a few weeks ago saying we're tightening up our controls, just to say Coinbase is clearly incompetent at these issues. They're unable to stop it. No, they've just done this whole song and dance about how much they're going to improve the ecosystem and how much they care about getting these things right. And the very next coin listing has been front run.
Wow. This whole case contradicts Coinbase, who claims that they were actively monitoring for illegal activity. But honestly, from the looks of it, it looks like the only thing they were monitoring was Twitter, because ultimately they didn't launch this investigation until after someone had proved it on the blockchain. And it's probably time we talk about this investigation and the main guy arrested in this case. His name was Ashan Wahi, and he was an employee at Coinbase who was on the team responsible for listing the new crypto tokens on the exchange. He insider traded by buying the coins he knew they would be listing in a bit, and then after the price pumped, he'd profit by selling them, which is obviously illegal and market manipulation. And the only reason that there are 3 guys listed in this indictment and 3 guys who got arrested is because the employee decided that he wanted his brother and friend in on the scam. He wanted to share the wealth and share a jail cell, I guess. In total, they allegedly made $1.5 million, which honestly are rookie numbers. Let's be real, guys. You got to pump those up. I mean, they're going to go to jail and guys are absolutely going to be laughing at them. You went to jail for $1.5 million in fraud. Do you need a baby bottle to go with your itsy bitsy fraud? This is sort of why I find myself thinking that Kobe's sort of right here, that maybe the most interesting part of this case is not the actual criminals, but the system that allowed this to even happen.
I don't think a guy stealing $1.5 million over the course of 18 months is even the interesting part of the story. The interesting part of the story is for 18 months, an institution had this guy in charge of like coin listing stuff, was unable to identify that he was just like stealing from people by front running. And then anonymous users on like the internet can find out about it, or I can tweet about it. And then all of a sudden there's an investigation into it. I just don't understand what processes they have in place for that to be how that works.
Now, to that very important question, what processes are in place? I think Kobe's forgetting about the most important process of all that clearly they have abided by, which is one that's even trusted by the FBI. You check Twitter. Although I don't want to just dunk on the feds and Coinbase here, because it does seem like they did a pretty good job investigating and arresting the guy after they found out what was happening. I'm talking about the main guy, Wahi, because according to the indictment, Coinbase was supposed to interrogate him when he suddenly decided to flee the country. He told them that he had a medical emergency involving his father. Wahi then purchased an airline ticket due to board only 11 hours later to flee to India, and somehow they caught him. I mean, despite almost no warning beforehand, they arrested him before he left the country. So bravo to that. That's pretty awesome that they were able to do that. But I also hope we're not learning the wrong lessons here, where we just punish a few guys for crimes that have been going on for years only after someone tweets about it. I mean, what's next? Are we going to make some TikTok deputies, some Instagram enforcers? I guess I get the irony that I'm the internet detective here saying that, but I do ultimately think there probably should be a division between influencers and law enforcement. I don't think those worlds should collide very often, but every now and then it does. What up? Welcome to Coffeezilla. Today we're covering part 2 of the Nigerian scammer. Today we confront him and ask him why he did it. What's in his mind? What's going on in Nigeria? But before we get into anything else, before we talk about the $10 million studio, which as you can see is coming together, let me say, I saw a disturbing figure on the internet. This may be the worst thing I've ever seen. Check it out. 58% of you have not smashed, like, and subscribed. Dude, how many times does Ana Anka have to tell you?
And subscribe.
Okay? I'm pissed off. Okay? So this October, my goal for October is to get this number to 50%. Subscribes need to come up. And if you're not subscribed, you need to leave. So that's my big thing for October. We can only right so many wrongs on the internet, but this is definitely one of them. Now, anyways, without further ado, let me just say, how's this audio sound, by the way? We fixed that. I know that was potato for a while. It's getting better. It's not, I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's getting better. The visuals are getting better. The $10 million studio, I told you guys, just patience. Oh, there it goes. It popped again. Patience. I got to not, I got to not. We're coming together slowly, but frankly, I could use some of your help. If you happen to have some digital 3D work in Unreal Engine or anything like that for virtual sets, I could really use you, frankly. So if you're familiar, if you're a fan of the show, if you're looking for a side project during COVID, I could really use it. All right, that's it. Sorry to rant at you guys for a little bit. I know a lot of you are going to be like, haha, video starts at 2 minutes. No, everything I just said was very important. So enough of that. Don't say that ever again. But anyways, let's talk about what we came here to talk about, which is my confrontation with the scammer. So first things first, I tried calling him. You're like, why didn't you call him? I tried. He immediately hung up on me. And so I panicked and I was like, oh crap, he's going to block this number because I only had one number for him. So I immediately kind of played hardball. I said, look, you block me, I'm going to the authorities. I'm going to SARS. The truth is, I was bluffing. I don't even know how to get a hold of SARS. I wouldn't have gotten a hold of SARS anyway. But we're playing hardball. We're playing with scammers. So I said, look, you go to block me. I'm gonna go to SARS, boy. I said, I have screenshot. This is after he hung up on me. He said, who's this? I said, just an interested journalist. I don't know. Am I a journalist? I don't know if I am. We'll just say I am. What scam? So he plays dumb. I sent him some screenshots. He plays dumb. No, that ain't me. What scam? There's no scam going on anywhere. Liar. He establishes himself as a liar early on in this conversation. I just want to say that. Okay, he's just playing dumb. Are you talking about a Bitcoin scam or something? Finally, I get to the point. I say, you scam people with Instagram investing pages. There's no getting out of it. I know everything. It's too late. Oh, I understand now. Ha 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 ha. It didn't work, bro. People were smarter, especially when it comes to Bitcoin. Press X to doubt. This is a part of the conversation. I almost skipped by it because frankly, it's like kind of useless because he just denies making a lot of money. Now, in some ways, we don't know if he's not telling the truth here. Maybe he wasn't making money. On the other hand, he lied to us at the beginning of the conversation, and this is exactly what a scammer would say if they were afraid that you were going to go to the police or report them or anything like that. Of course, he's going to go, oh yeah, I didn't make any money. I don't do it anymore. He says now all he does is he trades online, which is stupid. As you guys know, you're not going to make a lot of money doing that. So he's probably still scamming. That's just my guess. But I'm not going to try to confront him on this because frankly, I don't think that's a productive conversation to have. Instead, I try to turn it and make it about scams in Nigeria in general and what he thinks about the morality. Because my question is, do you guys care that you're scamming people? So I'll scroll down to that part of the conversation because he just kind of denies it. And so I go, how deep do these scams go? He's trying to say, oh, you should check out this trader. I don't care. And so he goes, honestly, bro, I can't really say, but there are a lot of greedy people out there. One thing I can assure you as a fact is that everyone you see on Bitcoin on Instagram is a scammer, whether the person posted a photo or commented under that photo. Okay, true. Honestly, true. And so then finally he's like, okay, I understand how wicked it is to ruin someone's life through scam. Okay, so he's kind of confessing a little bit, you know? It's like, I understand how wicked it is, but then you do it. Like, what? I mean, come on, buddy. Why would you do it if you know that you're saying it's wicked? Okay. Then he says, but why would someone invest with a stranger in the first place that promises dubious returns, bro? I find it hard to give anyone money online. Yeah, you find it hard to give people money online? Maybe that's because you're a scammer. So I said, I wonder that myself many times, probably because the people who do this are expert schemers and know how to convince people with social proof. And I show him evidence of that, of him doing that, basically tricking people. And I say, stuff like this is how people get trapped. They see the social proof and think it's legit. That's how Ponzi schemes make money. Like, of course, this guy, I mean, if you're in the industry, like from my side of trying to bust these guys, or you're a scammer, of course you're going to say, well, you can't trust anyone online because this is the stuff you look at all day. But he's neglecting the fact that most people are not like scammers. And, you know, in the comment section of my last video, I'm going to have to pull up a few examples of this, but I had a bunch of comments basically saying that this guy, all his excuses about why he had to do it, they're just lies. Because we apparently have a bunch of people in our comment section that are Nigerian, but they basically goes, it's sad that a lot of people support these scammers. In Nigeria, they're called Yahoo boys. A lot of Nigerians don't see anything wrong with it because they see it as they are taking money from people that are rich, so it's not bad or anything. But then some of them point out that even they're like apparently from rich parts of the country, or at least they're saying that. They're saying they're upper middle class or went to some really good schools because they have written English. They've been wealthy and have been wealthy for a long time. And so the psychology they use here is just a justification mechanism that they can only use with foreigners. Nigerians would call BS on the reasoning. So yeah, it's important to include that as we go forward with this because like he is a little bit slick here and he's trying to say, oh yeah, I totally understand. I didn't even make money with it. I don't even do it anymore. I think a lot of people in the comment section from last video and this video are going to call BS on that because I don't believe it. I don't think they believe it. And basically, yeah, so for a long time here, I'm not even going to go through all of them. I'm not even going to give him the time of day on this because he's just basically saying the whole time that I'm not making any money. And then this is pretty funny. He goes, can I refer you to the stocks chat room? He's talking about the trader that he likes. He's like, can I refer you so I can get a referral? As if I'm going to join. He's trying to scam me in the conversation where I'm confronting him. What is this guy doing? And I was like, yeah, sure. Just have a few more questions for you first. Number one, was it the morality that got you to stop stocks, colleges, and David Ferris FX, or was it the fact that it wasn't working? Number two, is everyone in Nigeria afraid of SARS? I've read up on them. They almost seem like terrorists. They just got some sketchy motivations. He laughs at that. I say, what? He goes, Stocks College isn't a scam. David Ferris was. That's a total lie. Okay, again, this guy's lying. He's been caught multiple times already in this conversation lying, but that also is a lie. Stocks College talks about needing David Ferris for the scam. So, of course, he was scamming. He talks about scamming. But he says David Ferris was because it was a fake account of a different individual, and it wasn't working out because people knew it was kind of fishy to invest $500 and receive $20,000 in a month. Again, we don't have any verification of that. There's a saying that SARS are actually angry because they missed the opportunity to scam in their days, so they catch young boys and collect money from them. You did not hear this from me. And the interesting thing is that I think there's some evidence for this of SARS being very corrupt, because multiple people contacted me about it, and they say SARS is a division of the police that tackle robbery, but they found out that it makes no sense chasing robbers and risking their lives. They simply stop and search youngsters knowing they could make money easily. This is because they can simply call you a scammer and most people would believe. And when they catch real scammers, they simply collect as much funds as they can and release them back into the wild. Basically, in Nigeria, you can apparently stop and search without a warrant or cause. So that's what's interesting is like he's kind of right about SARS being a bit of a scam because we've heard it from multiple people now. And he's saying like, look, they share it amongst themselves. The government doesn't pay them as much as they can make from young scammers or rich people doing well in the country. Like they have a job to catch scammers. Bail is their side hustle, which is insane. And then he goes, please leave Stocks Colleges out of this. This is legit people. Dude, bro, we've got them in DMs scamming people. What are you talking about? Again, I think he's just covering for his buddy here. And he goes, that's why I mentioned greed. There are people greedier than you can imagine that want to get rich quick. Their greed leads them to loss of money, not the scammer. Okay. Bravo for the biggest mental gymnastics in the world. Oh, it's not my fault they're losing money. Yeah, it is your fault. So then he goes, man, I'm trying to take time to go into details for you, and I ain't even getting paid. Time is money, yo. Bless me with funds, bro. Dude, scam into the bitter end. Bro, I'm probably broker than you. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But then our scammer here actually starts to get insightful. He goes, if you're looking for a business, you'll find a business. If you're looking for a get rich, you'll find a scam. That is actually true. There are victims who they get themselves in these situations because they are actually actively looking for a way to get rich quick, and it just doesn't exist. And he goes on, there's nothing that can be done even if it gets exposed. He's talking about Nigerian scams. People have been getting scammed since the 1970s. Check the history. It didn't start overnight. What needs to be reformed is the mindset of the youths. We have kids in Nigeria who are thinking of scamming because of no money. I saw a 16-year-old boy or younger boy today with an iPhone 11 Pro Max. I knew straight away that it was a result of a successful scams or fraud. The music in the country promotes scams. The government promotes scams indirectly through their actions. So does the police and everyone else. It'll make a good story, but it'll introduce more youths into scams if you choose to go with it. Now, I disagree with that. I think education is the key. I think sunlight is the best disinfectant. So I totally disagree with him there. But I just follow up, like, can you elaborate on that idea that the government and music promotes scams? And he says, youths will figure out that scammers are really successful and will indulge in it. They believe they can scam all their lives without consequence. That's the mindset, bro. I believe the only solution is the reformation of the African people. The reason they scam is that because they don't know who they are amongst themselves. Dude, is anyone hearing like some patriotic music backing here? This is a pretty good speech. Honestly, pretty good speech for a scammer. Therefore, it's safe to say that the government is scamming its citizens. The youths have seen that and they don't want to be slaves underneath a greedy government. Therefore, they decide to attack everyone and make money any way they can. The youths are only reciprocating what's being done to them in their country. Like, yeah, it's not a bad line of reasoning, but it's also trying to absolve yourself. It's clearly so self-justifying and self-motivated. But I wanted to say, I mean, he has a point. He says, so from within, so without. Worldwide scams in Nigeria is a reflection of what's really going on in the country. In Nigeria, everyone scams each other. It baffles me to this date. We'll have to talk to you later. I have to go now. And that's the conversation. I mean, that's pretty much it. Interesting stuff. I mean, I don't know what you guys think of that. How much does the government shape the scamming culture? very interested to hear what you think. My guess is this will be a polarizing interview, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always,
Don't forget to smash like.
what is up? Welcome back to the $10 million studio. I know it seems like we're changing all the time, but actually we are just moving within the same room. We're trying different ways of organizing the set to make it easier for you guys. This is doubling right now as a screen, but actually look at this. I can turn it off. Boom. Boom. There's our board. Huh? Not too shabby. And as you can see, moved into a new place. There's an annoying guy next door. He's kind of snooping around, which is kind of annoying. Ben Cumberbun or something like that. I don't know what his name is. He's always trailed by his bumbling sidekick. I don't know what it's about. They're kind of weird. I don't know what their deal is. But nevertheless, we're not going to let that stop us. It's some good real estate for finding out the new mysteries of the internet, from digging up the scams, from exposing the frauds. So thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, today we are reacting to fake gurus calling out fake gurus. And let me say, I'm having trouble here seeing my future because I just invested in a $10 million studio to call out fake gurus. And I'm going to be out of a job soon because I can't call out the fake gurus faster than the fake gurus are calling out the fake gurus. You won't believe it. I never thought in a million years that the strategy of a fake guru would be to call out fake gurus. I don't know what the idea there is. Like, do they not think we'll see through it? Let's find out. Here's a few that I collected today for us to look at together. So this is our first guy, and I'm just going to say here, I see this not as a video, but as actually an ad. This guy's spending money to call out fake gurus. It's insane.
Oh, this. Another online business guru. I don't know about you, but I'm getting pretty sick and tired of all of these fake online
Damn, boy.
business gurus trying to get me to
This guy watches Coffeezilla. For sure, 100%.
You'll register for their webinars. Guys, I know you've been seeing the ads, but I promise you, if you just give me 60 seconds.
Okay, so then you give him 60 seconds, right? You're going to give him 60 seconds and you think, oh man, he's not going to be like them, right?
If you want to create a life of better financial freedom, live the life of your dreams, and stop working a 9-to-5 job, stop doing all the stuff that you hate, click the link around this video.
There are.
Sorry, we already went on to the next one. Oops, you guys have been spoiled, but let me just say that. I'll just say just one word about that last guy. Dude, you can't call out the gurus and then sell your webinar and go sell your free training. Bro, come to my free training. Come to my free training where I sell you on my course. What a joke.
There are more scams out there on the internet than there are legitimate opportunities by far.
Okay, let's check out this.
Cut to John Crestani selling scams. Listen, let me say this about that thing, because I talked to John Crestani. I said, how much did it cost to get Chris Hansen on your show? He said $25K. $25K to call out the gurus. Now this itself was a scam because you were supposed to buy a book, which is a $20 a month upsell for the book. A book that has a $20 a month subscription attached to it. But yeah, John, you just keep calling out the scammers, buddy.
Okay, let's check out this method to literally copy paste ads to make money. First off, you don't want to run a business where you have to actually like buy products and like ship them out to people, okay? So let's forget about e-commerce or drop shipping.
I don't even know why I tried it. These guys make such better comedy than I ever could with these things. There are so many scams out there, but make bank. Dude, we're going to make bank. Sell my product.
Work for it. Search for my last name because the product we're going to be
selling is actually my product.
Is actually my product.
Unfortunately.
All right, next meme. I don't know. That's PewDiePie, right? No, never mind. Next guru.
The world of e-commerce education is full of scammers, pretenders, and...
Okay, hold on. I want to pause there because it's going to be funny later. He's saying that the baller busters are calling out the scammers. Okay, remember that.
outright liars. I'm sure you've seen their ads all over the place, and I bet many of you have even been their victims. For all of you gurus and self-proclaimed experts out there, you better watch out.
Guru beware. Now when you go to Baller Buster's page, remember this is the guy that's calling out the gurus that Kevin Zhang endorses. Kevin Zhang is one of their call-outs.
Dude, what the is
there
going?
I am.
Welcome back to the show, guys.
Little collab with Baller Busters. But this is a long call out. Oh look, he's doing another e-commerce 70% off. That was the scam he did last time. Where am I headed? Jail. Next guru.
The stock market can be a very dangerous place if you're following a fake. If you're learning from a fake, and because of this bull market, there are lots of fakes. In this video, I'm going to talk about it and tell you how to expose a fake.
Ah, yes, Tim Sykes, the original huckster, dude. Yes. So this video, which is released recently called like Calling Out Gurus or How to Spot a Fake Guru, it's all just him pitching his $1 million challenge.
If you want to get into my millionaire challenge and you're ready to be, taught by a drill sergeant.
Now, one of my favorite things about Tim Sykes, the millionaire trader, is that he's got verified trades on a platform called Profit.ly or Profitly. Now, here's an interesting thing. Who verified Tim Sykes' trades? Well, Profitly, but who owns Profitly? Tim Sykes. That's right. Tim Sykes has verified Tim Sykes' trades. You better not call him a scam, dude. Hey, they're verified. Verified by him. Okay, next guru.
If I see one more person on my TikTok timeline giving professional advice because they
Danny
have hundreds
Devin.
and thousands and sometimes even millions of dollars in their Robinhood account, I swear I'm going to rip out my hair.
Okay, you shouldn't be able to teach if you just have $1,000 or $1 million in your account. You're saying don't fall for all these fake Robinhood gurus. Okay, so don't trust somebody just because they say they have millions of dollars in their stock market account. Got it.
I made $1 million in 4 weeks, and this is exactly how I did it.
This is, by the way, like several months later after he calls out the gurus. Oh, don't listen to all those other idiot gurus. Hey, by the way, I made millions of dollars.
Started off with $1,000, which I turned into $5,000, $5,000 to $10,000, $10,000 to $25,000, $25,000 to $50,000.
And wouldn't you believe it, $50,000 into $1 million. Hey, and this is definitely not a demo account, but I turned $1,000 into $1 million. Totally, yeah, this is very believable. Yeah, just no big deal. 100,000% returns. That's it. Hey, 100,000% returns. What are you going to say? I'm lying? Next, scammer.
Mindset. If you're doing that and you're trying to scam people, you don't have to go down that path.
This is a TikTok person named Lovin' Not Working. But what does she say? Scammers need right mindset. That's right. If you're scamming, you got the wrong mindset.
Stay honest. Stay true to yourself. You'll live a happier life. You'll be able to sleep better at night. The good news is it could change. But unfortunately, that's a decision for you.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. All you fake gurus out there, all you scammers, do the right thing. Don't, stop scamming people.
I want to show you how to get from $1,000 to $1 million. And check out the link in my bio for more.
Oh, a little course action there. A little 2% theory. Yeah, just $1,000 to $1 million, 2 years. What's the big deal? Just trading crypto, baby. All right, and that's basically it. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do here on this channel. All the gurus are calling out all the gurus. I don't really know what to do. They're all saying, watch out for the fake gurus. As fake gurus, I honestly don't know where my place is anymore. I'm lost. I'm confused. Let me know what you think, guys. What do you think? Let me know what you think of the studio, too, guys. We're building out our $10 million set. We're paying off the loan. It's a massive loan. So if you haven't already, go buy my fake. If you're a 90s kid, you probably recognize this. That's enough. Most of you already know that faster than YouTube's copyright system does. It's the theme song to Drake and Josh. And I, like many people, grew up as a minor watching it. Little did I know, Drake Bell, one of the stars, was returning the favor for some of us. Now, I'm not here to comment on some of the legal issues that have arisen since then, because ultimately they're not my business. And I've heard that they're actually not that major of issues. They're minor. Now, instead, the reason I come before you today is to warn you about a major issue. If you're following Drake Bell still. He's been secretly getting paid to shill NFTs. Now, I know that's a shock, right? But even more shocking is I confronted Drake Bell on Twitter about this, and he lied to me. And I'm here to expose it to you guys today, just to prove once again, the blockchain doesn't lie, right? And you can run, but eventually we will catch you. Now, for a little background before we get into this, Drake Bell, I can't believe this is a real story. It's insane. He's turned into something of a Sam Pepper type figure. You remember Sam, right? From Save the Kids. He's a washed up social media figure, pivoted into shilling altcoins, Twitter, and behind the scenes was getting paid. Now, Drake Bell sort of yoinked that playbook.
Guilty.
But I didn't know about that at first, as we'll get into. But he thought he could get away with it. But like all social media stars, they don't actually understand how crypto works. And so we caught him. We caught him doing some very naughty things to his fans. Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the $10 million studio. I'm your host, Coffeezilla, the internet detective, and this is a bit of a weird one. If you guys asked me at the beginning of this year, the weirdest things that were going to happen to me, Drake Bell dropping into my DMs and lying to me was not in the cards, right? Him getting caught at red-handed 4K, not what I had planned. Because he's a real celebrity and we are on the internet. Not disparaging YouTube, but I just thought it was sort of out of our, thing. So for a little context, Drake Bell has been running this NFT shill game, scam game. I don't know what you really want to call it. You can call it all of those. Let's bring down the board and show you what I'm talking about. And I know most of you guys are saying, Stephen, you got trolled by a bot account. But no, it's really him. This is his profile right here. Drake Bell at Drake Bell follows you, 4.5 million followers. And his entire Twitter timeline is these NFT scams. And again, not all NFTs are scams, but the ones that hire these ridiculous influencers to promote them all the time, let's be honest, right? Good morning. What NFT should I buy today? Share some cool projects. And then you look at his actual timeline and it's just him promoting a bunch of these projects. Things like this, Metamons dropping in 6 hours, public mint. And he promotes this thing you guys have probably never heard of. For the past several months, he's been doing this. And people started to wonder if he wasn't getting paid behind the scenes. In fact, one of his fans came to me and told me that he was. Now, I didn't think anything of it. A lot of these guys are promoting this stuff. But it wasn't until Drake Bell himself dropped in my DMs and told me basically, hey, man, I'm here to set the record straight. If you have any questions, let me know, that I thought something was definitely weird. Because generally, I'm not saying you're guilty if you come to me, but I hadn't tweeted about him. I hadn't said anything. And so for him to come, it's like someone knocking on your door and going, I didn't do anything. You're just like, wait, what? You show up at the police station. Look, I just want to clear the record. I didn't do anything. And be like, wait, tell me more about what you didn't do. So he told me that. And I said, I don't know anything. Just tell me, here's what he said, that your accuser said. Here are the allegations. You've been promoting a bunch of these things and being paid behind the scenes. And while I was doing that, since my curiosity was piqued at this point, I decided I'd investigate this man a little bit. And so what do you know, guys? I go to the blockchain and I found his profile, drakebell.eth. Now, right away, I noticed some problems. If you scroll through his transaction history, occasionally you'll notice stuff like this. 200keys.eth paying Drake Bell 0.25 Ether, which is about $1,000. And they paid him the same day as he promoted an NFT called 200 Keys. Here's the promotion he did the same day he got this payment. 200 Keys is a collection of NFT keychains that unlock trades in NFT collection, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? They're having $70,000 worth of giveaways, blah, blah, blah. And there he is shilling it on October 10th. That's the day that he got paid. Now, I was pretty concerned about this because obviously, does he say anywhere that it's an ad, that he's been paid to do this? No. And this is an increasing problem in crypto. Nobody discloses anything because it's bad if you say you're shilling. Instead, people just do it under the radar and hope that nobody ever finds out. But of course we do. So I actually end up confronting Drake about this. And I send him the screenshot of the thing because he's asking me, look, if you want to clear it up, whatever. So I send him this and I say, what do you want to comment? So I send him this. I send him the payment. I say, example, you promoted 200 keys, but got paid $1,000 behind the scenes. This is a problem, Drake. Drake responds, I didn't make $1,000. I got free NFTs, buddy. Now, this was a bold move. I hadn't thought of this. He told me he got paid NFTs. And sure enough, if you go to his NFT collection, it does say he has 3 200 keys NFTs. So I think to myself, that's weird. Maybe the 0.25 ETH he got paid were for minting. As you know, sometimes you have to pay minting fees when minting these things. So I say minting fees. He says, what? I said the 200 keys. They paid you 0.25 ETH the day of your tweet. He said, no, I received 2 free mints. Try again. And I thought this was a bit condescending, but I was like, all right, whatever. So I say, is this your wallet? We're back to this, guys. So I say, is this your wallet? And I show him the transaction ID where he got paid. And so he responds now. Now watch this. Yes, he gave me 2 keys and I used the ETH to mint more. Now again, this is different from what he first told me, which is all I got was free NFTs. But I think to myself, well, maybe I just misunderstood. Maybe this is all really on the up and up. Maybe I'm the one in the wrong here. But I don't think so. I got a weird hunch about this. So he said, oh, so you did get paid 25 ETH, 0.25 ETH, like I said. And he said, no, I didn't get paid. I minted keys with the ETH he sent. Very clear statement here. What do you want from me exactly? Well, now at this point, now that we have a very clear statement from him about what he did, I go to the Polygon transactions. That's where all of this occurred. It was on the Polygon chain. And I find those transactions. Now, guys, according to the 200 Keys website, these NFTs cost 50 Matic to mint. So I go to Drake Bell's Polygon address and I find the 200 Keys. And I go and I look how much he paid for these. And the first one he paid 0 Matic for. The second one he also paid 0 Matic for, but that should be expected. Remember, that's what he told us happened. Remember, he said he gave me 2 keys and I used the ETH to mint more. He has 3 of them, so he must have paid for the third one. However, when we look up the third key, he also paid 0. So he's just lying and just like lying about something that's so publicly verifiable, it's shocking.
Guilty.
So I respond, you did not mint keys with the ETH 200 keys.eth sent. I can see the transaction history. You did not pay a fee for any of the 3 you minted. And he responds, this is my favorite part. They were gifted. I'm confused. I can't get gifted NFTs. I'm confused what you're so upset about. Dude, it's just lie after lie after lie. It's like, Drake, what happened, bud? Drake and Josh, the payments weren't enough? You broke? What? Why are you doing this for $1,000? You're lying to a YouTuber for $1,000. It has gone too far. It's just such a dumb thing to lie about, by the way. Just say like, yeah, I showed it. They paid me $1,000. I didn't say ad. I'm sorry. Instead, he's like, what? No, I didn't do it. And now that's even funnier. That's a better story. That's funnier than you just got paid $1,000, which is kind of sad, to be honest. But I think poor judgment seems to be a recurring theme here. That's basically the story. I don't know. That's basically it. I caught Drake Bell in multiple lies. Let's count them. First it was, oh, I didn't get paid at all. Then it was, oh, I used it to mint things. Then it's, oh, what, I can't get a gift? I can't have a gift from an artist? What's the big deal, guys? The crazy thing is that never during this entire conversation with him, even after that, did he ever show any remorse or think that he was at all in the wrong. And it just goes to show, like, when everyone's getting away with it at this scale, because obviously Drake Bell is not the only one who's doing this right now, not disclosing that he's basically advertising for these NFT companies, shilling them to his fans so they buy in and get wrecked. He's not the only one doing it. And he even brought up to me, well, hey, why are you calling me out, dude? Everyone's doing it right now, dude. You should call out him. He's getting paid more. He actually pointed out some people for getting paid more that we're probably going to talk about soon. But he basically said, what? Why are you picking on me? And I've had that experience multiple times recently, guys. I want you guys to understand these influencers, they don't feel bad. Ironically, they feel offended when you call them out. You go, hey, you have to disclose that per the FTC. They go, hey, why are you picking on me?
Guilty.
If just any kind of regulation came in, all of this would stop. The problem is right now, everybody's getting away with it. So these guys, rather than being ashamed of what they do, well, they do lie about it. They are ashamed, but they are just so flagrant with it where even when you do catch them and you do call them out, they go, why are you picking on me? It's like, it's crazy, man. So this is my plea to the FTC, to all these guys watching this space right now. Listen to me right now. I know these guys. I talk to these guys shilling these projects. Right now, they've never been more flagrant. They've never been more willing to do this because right now, there are no consequences. The biggest consequences to Drake Bell is me making a video about him. That's the highest form of punishment right now. And that's no punishment at all. Sorry if I seem like I'm getting upset at the end here, but I'm a little pissed because I'm like, yes, it's Drake Bell's fault. But also, isn't it the fault that none of these guys are getting in trouble? Like, of course, people are going to continue doing it because nobody ever goes down for this stuff. So I'm just saying, if this is if this is a rule, right? This is an FTC guideline. The FTC themselves say that you have to disclose this stuff in their disclosures 101 for social media influencers. How about a little consequences, right? FTC, right? I mean, I think that's fair to say, right? How about a little consequences for these guys? In the meantime, I will continue calling them out. You guys can rely on that. That's maybe the only thing you can rely on. And please, guys, if you like the show, please support this work by pumping the stock. I am but a man, and I need your help. We are at 800,000 subscribers. It's been shocking to get here so fast. So thank you to each and every